So today, we're going to continue to take a look at a scenario where every US state becomes an independent country. We're now into part 5 of this series, I believe, and it's doing quite well. Make sure to leave a like on this and subscribe to the channel if you're new. All the support is greatly appreciated, and let's get started. So today, a couple of events are going to be taking place, and we actually have Maryland and Virginia uniting together, just for greater unity among the Red Alliance. But now we actually have another event taking place, and that is a civil war between the Red Alliance, where Michigan and their puppet here, which is the remainder of the Blue Alliance, are actually going to try and separate from the rest of the Red Alliance. Now New York is going to stay away from this war for now because they don't want to get involved. And so let's get started with this fighting. And so right away, of course, Red Team troops are going to begin to move into the blue countries, which are on the Red Team, so it's a little confusing. They're going to take out the Panhandle of Carolina and begin to move into the mainland areas of these countries. Michigan is definitely stronger than these two countries in this timeline, and they're going to have a lot of success pushing through them. They're now pushed back to the main areas of these countries, as well. This is kind of where North Carolina was, and this is where Virginia is. So they're kind of pushed back to where their countries are, and now they're going to go ahead and meet for peace, and these two are going to be allowed to leave the alliance. And now taking a look at this peace treaty, we can see that Virginia and Carolina are now quite small. Well, compared to what they just were, but they're definitely larger than they are in the modern day. And now we see Michigan actually is going to annex their puppet. The Michigan Empire is probably one of the largest countries in the US right now. They're probably about the same size as California, and Texas is probably bigger than them. Now, speaking of Texas, we all know the beef that Texas and Mexico have between each other in this series, and Texas wants to finish that off. They're going to start by pushing into northern Mexico, taking out this area quite easily. Texas is quite overpowered in this series. They're probably one of the stronger countries in the world, probably. We'll talk more about that in a few minutes. But another country is actually going to get involved in this war, and I think you probably know who it is. Yes, it's going to be the Floridan Empire. We all know how they love to expand, and now they're kind of restricted because they have allies to the south, being Colombia, and they can't really expand in South America anymore. But Mexico is going to be the last place where they can expand because they don't want to attack the Red Alliance, but they could probably do that now. They definitely don't want to go after Michigan because they'd probably lose that, and they don't want to go after Texas because they would definitely lose that. Mexico is really the last place they can expand, and that is exactly what they will be doing as they begin to push into southern Mexico. Now, Mexico is absolutely doomed here. They have no chance of winning this war. They have been heavily weakened through the previous wars with these countries, and they're just going to go ahead and surrender because they got nothing better to do. And now looking at this peace treaty, yeah, Mexico does not exist anymore. They were completely split up by Texas and Florida, and Texas is looking very long. They don't even look like Texas anymore. Then again, none of these countries really look like each other. Well, I mean, these ones over here do now. Delaware hasn't changed it at all. Florida kind of does, just because of the peninsula. Maybe even California, just because it's just western area. I don't know. New York is also quite long. Now, in the last video, I did take a look at some stuff that could happen around the world with the disappearance of the US, and a lot of you guys did want to see more to that, and so I think I'm actually going to change the map now. We talked about how Russia would probably win the Ukraine war, even though they're not doing too well in real life. But without aid from the US, Ukraine would probably not do too well. And with the US no longer sending stuff to them, a lot of the West would probably do so because, well, if they make Russia really mad, then if they get into a war with Russia without the US, then they would almost definitely lose. So Russia would probably reform a lot of their empire. Russia would probably reform a lot of their old empire, probably uniting with Belarus and probably taking over Moldova, and probably finishing off Georgia as well. Eventually, they would probably get into a war with NATO, in which they would probably annex a lot of Eastern Europe, including Poland, Romania, and of course the Baltic states. They would probably puppet a lot of Eastern European countries too. Elsewhere, Israel would probably not do too well, but they're pretty strong, so they might be able to hold out. But the Middle East would probably just be total chaos. In South America, Brazil might take advantage of Guyana after losing that war with Venezuela, and they might just take over Guyana and Suriname. North Korea would almost definitely take out South Korea with the help of China, and probably Russia, I don't know. China would almost definitely take out Taiwan, and maybe even the Philippines. Morocco probably wouldn't be able to keep their claim over Western Sahara, and Western Sahara would probably be given full independence. Kosovo would probably be annexed by Serbia. We could see a lot more unification in Europe as they try to solidify their forces against Russia. We could see a formation of a European Union, not just between the countries, but as an actual country. And really, any issues that Western countries have against each other would probably try to be settled very easily, because they don't want to be in any, as they want to be as stable as possible against another war with Russia. Saudi Arabia might take out Yemen, and we'd probably see some wars between Egypt, Sudan, and Ethiopia, but I'm not really sure how that would play out. But yeah, really, it would be a lot of chaos. I'm actually going to leave the map like this now. And I was actually thinking that as a finale for this series, that maybe the next episode could be a World War III between, well, countries, but the US wouldn't be there, and we'd see how these states would react to a World War III. So I guess, well, World War III probably would have been NATO versus Russia, but let's say it wasn't, and it was just NATO versus Russia. There, of course, were other wars, but we're going to take a look at in the next episode as the finale for the series, a World War III without the US, but with the states, of course. But let me know if you guys want to see that. If not, I can come up with something else, or you guys can give me your ideas. But anyway, back to the US. With Virginia losing that war to Michigan, they're not feeling very good about themselves, and they need to try and prove themselves to be tough, and so they're actually going to go ahead and declare war on Delaware. They take that country out super easily, and they fully annex them. That probably wasn't a very smart move, because Delaware literally has done nothing to anybody in this series, and so that's going to make a lot of countries not really like them. But they're actually going to go ahead and they're going to unite with Carolina, and, well, they've kind of increased their size a little bit. The Red Alliance, of course, still does exist. But obviously these borders haven't changed yet. That'll be done for the next episode, of course. The Red Alliance isn't as stable as it once was. We actually see now the formation of a new alliance, and that's actually going to be between Florida and Colombia. These two worked together in the last war. They took out areas of Venezuela, and they're on pretty good terms right now. I know the borders aren't quite updated on this map. They will be for the next episode. They always are. And I'm not really sure what else I could do now, so that's probably going to be the end of this video. So if you did enjoy it, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Leave any of your comments or suggestions below. I do read every comment, so I will see it. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.